Recently, I did a few stories on a few haunted sections of road, such as Jack Cole and Blue Mist roads, all usually involving accidents or some tragic accident. One must wonder, why don't the spirits stay with their family or the cemetery rather than the place they died? Do they even have a choice, or are they even aware of where they are? Appalachia, the mountains, are like no other. From its rigid terrain and beautiful wildlife to the people that live their lives here, to the strange, unexplained stories that folks share. Join me while I share this amazing place, one story at a time. Deep in the mountains of Alabama lies Newton, a town where tragic events involving the Civil War took place. A Methodist minister named William Skito Sr. is the center of the haunting along the Highway 134 bridge. Bill Skito was born in Madrid, Spain, June 8th of 1818. He ended up in Alabama when he and his father migrated. He became well liked in his community, choosing ministry as his job while serving as a circuit rider in the Wiregrass area. He married Sarah Clemens and had 8 children. And this is where the story becomes shady. It was told he served in the Southern Army during the Civil War, but there are no records proving this. It's also told that in 1864 Sarah had fallen ill, so he took off home to doctor her and then returned to service. But the Army didn't take kindly to this and took it as him deserting. Is this story true or false? Well, we can't really say for sure, but what is for sure is that in the surrounding piney forest had a many deserters and Unionists hiding out. They would often terrorize the local folks. This enraged the men, so they formed a home guard commanded by Joseph Brary, a local lawyer. He served as a lieutenant in the Company E 15th Alabama Infantry. He was captured at Gettysburg, then returned home. The Home Guard nicknamed themselves the Buttermilk Rangers, for they were in service to the Confederate Conscript Department, hunting down and punishing all deserters. The Reverend Bill Sketoes ran into the Home Guard while crossing the wooden bridge over the Choctawhatchee River. He was asked if he was a deserter, to which Bill, of course, said no, then produced papers saying that he had hired a replacement to fight in his place. Now, this is where there are two different versions of how and why Skito was hung. It is told that the captain refused to believe this and treated him as a deserter, and he was hanged by the neck until dead. But the next version is that the captain suspected Skito of being involved in an ambush on a Confederate ammunition transport, killing an officer and one of his men. So they beat Skito and forced him to crawl through the sand while they prepared to kill him. Skito was taken to an awaiting buggy, a rope placed around his neck, and he was given a chance to say one last word. So he prayed for the men and their wrongdoing. And this made the men angry. So they kicked the horse and it ran off. But in their haste to hang the man, they didn't look at just how tall he was. So when the buggy pulled out from under him, his feet hit the ground and he stood there looking right at them. Well, this made the men even madder. So they dug a hole where his feet was deep enough to finally hang him. The poor man was hanged even though there was no evidence to prove he was anything other than an innocent minister. His body was placed in the Mount Carmel Cemetery. One strange thing, the hole that was dug to allow him to hang stayed open for 150 years. It would be filled in. Only hours later, it would mysteriously be dug open again. Only when the new I-34 bridge was built did the hole finally stay covered. The strangest part of the Sketoes story is that all 6 men involving the hanging died in mysteriously strange deaths. The captain himself was struck in the head by a fallen limb of the exact tree that Skito was hung from. George Ecall was found mysteriously dead in the swamp. Another man was thrown from his mule and he died upon impact. Another man was strangely struck by lightning, and the final 2 men, they died of strange deaths as well. Who knew killing an innocent preacher could lead to such strange events? Was the whole a reminder of what happened to an innocent preacher? Was the 6 men's strange death caused by the preacher in a plot of revenge? Was it just karma, or was it just all coincidence? You'll have to decide that for yourself. Folks, I'd like to thank you for sitting and listening to the sad tale of Minister Bill Skito and the eerie deaths of the 6 men who hung him. Well, I appreciate you listening. I love yous to pieces, and I'll see you next time.